All right, now for the time we've been waiting for. All right, Festival of Native Arts. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage at this moment, she is the baddest of baddies, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. This is Teeter!
Donald was like, I'm going to introduce you. I'll just be like, all right, and up next is Teeter. I was like, yeah, that's perfect. Apparently, Donald is a liar. If I can have all available volunteers, please start making your way to the stage, including y'all back there, and invite Cathy Brooks. Ooh, Cathy Brooks, yeah, where are you? For those of you who don't know or don't remember or didn't care before, I am Grimashak Teeter. I am a student in the Rural Development Master's Program as well as an adjunct faculty professor for the Department of Alaska Native Studies and Rural Development. This school year, Cathy Brooks appointed me to take her place in retiring. So I now teach what we lovingly call the festival class. How come you're hesitating to come onto the stage? The festival lady. It's also known as the practicum in Alaska Native cultural expression. I might get emotional because this is emotional. First of all, give it up for Cathy Brooks. I'm gonna say a whole lot of mushy-gushy stuff about Cathy. Some of you might have known her before this moment as just the festival lady. I know growing up, and even until a few years into college in my undergrad, I only knew Cathy as the festival lady. And many of us do too still, even though she retired. To prevent any further voice cracking and unintentional emotion spilling outing via the eyes, crying, I'm gonna go ahead and read something that I wrote already. Cathy Brooks started her journey with the Festival of Native Arts as an advocate for students. In her first year with the festival, she used her role with the University of Alaska Fairbanks to ensure the continuation of our deeply meaningful event. Even early in her involvement, she recognized the power of our students and the significance of gatherings in our Indigenous cultures. Cathy has always centered students in her work for the Festival of Native Arts, an event that originated by Native students at UAF. On the whiteboard in her office, bold and centered, asks, "What is best for our students?" Fun fact, this thing that I'm reading, I wrote it after many, many weeks of trying to discreetly interview Cathy for this specific purpose because she has recently retired. And I don't know how long it took because our conversations just kept going on and on about everything because she is so amazing. So I had to discreetly take pictures of things around her room, including her whiteboard, because I want to remember that forever. The sentiment, "What is best for our students," is a sentiment she centered her career around and has passed down to me as the new instructor for the practicum in Alaska Native cultural expression. Many students and FNA participants, including myself, came to know Cathy as the festival lady. She has always worked to put on the event with love and intention. Though the majority of her work has been done behind the scenes, Cathy's devotion has shown through. Her dedication to learning phrases in Indigenous languages, including my name, which if you haven't caught on by now, is not the easiest name out there. Grimashak is tough to say, and Cathy says it beautifully every time. Her dedication to learning phrases in Indigenous languages and incorporating them into her life, to recognizing the effort and ability it takes to create Native art, and to taking on the dirty work of papers and permits, Cathy has kept students at the heart of her work. And so much of that dirty work, I want to say, just became so second nature to Cathy that in passing on the event, Only then did we realize truly how much Cathy has done for us. This is why I was reading the paper. Emotions, am I right? Say yup. Yup. So even as I was writing this, there is still more that Cathy has done for the Festival of Native Arts that I didn't even realize and didn't even know. Her advice as she passed the practicum class on to me was to nurture the students so they build their knowledge. This has been my ever-ringing motivation as I now grow in my role. Cathy's approach has been compassion for those with us and to honor our roots. It is with great privilege that we get to now honor her and her decade-plus involvement in the Festival of Native Arts. Give it up for the festival lady, Cathy Brooks.
I do have to say thank you, and just real close. See, I'm not the speaker. I'm the behind the scenes person. But I do have to say that this event is really about the students. And if there's anything, I watched last night as they dedicated the festival to Carol. And all I could think of was how fitting it was, because that was her life. Her life was for the students and for being there for them, and how very, very fitting it was. And at the heart of this event, it is about the students, and it's about letting them lead, letting them decide what's important to them, what they want to feature. Never, all those years that involved with festival, it was never the same, because the students needed to put their voice forth. So we did lots of different things over the years, and it wasn't me, it was the students, and it was their drive, their passion to share with you what was important to them and to get their voice out. So just please don't ever let that lose the heart of festival. Always let the students be the ones that drive this.
A little bit emotional. My festival lady has retired. I don't know whose office I'm gonna go hang out in for how long at a time, and get just the most life-changing, powerful, positive advice I've ever received. And as Cathy said, this is a volunteer-run event, a student-run event. I'm gonna make another call. All available volunteers, please make your way to the stage. As you can see, this is a very small amount of people because we have so many necessary volunteers still out running the event. And all on the stage right now are students. Hey. And like Cathy said, students graduate, students move on, it's ever changing. But one constant is that all the volunteers are so dedicated in what they do. Ooh, emotions, am I right? Say yup. Say uh-huh. Say aho, young warrior. Hey. But one thing that we always want to recognize is that none of us do this work for ourselves. It's not out of selfishness. It's not out of self-motivation. We all have people and communities and causes in our hearts that's driving us to put on this event. We don't volunteer because we want to feel good about ourselves. We volunteer with our annas in mind, our appas in mind, our aunties, our uncles, our grandmas, our nieces, our nephews, our children, our teachers, our communities, and so much more. And with that, this year, with it being the 50th Festival of Native Arts, we decided to open up dedications. As you know, the main dedication this year is to the late Carol Hollingsworth, but all of us in our hearts have so much more than Auntie Carol driving our work, so much more that when we wake up and it's 7 a.m. and we don't want to get ready for workshops after going to bed at 1 a.m. from cleaning up here or anything, then we think of those people that are in our hearts that are driving our work. So we're gonna read just a few of the names that have been submitted that are on our volunteers' hearts. And if you want to read more about these people or these communities, we have the reasoning behind them and who dedicated them, who nominated them, posted out in the vendors. So as you're going and looking at the beautiful vendors, remember to look at the beautiful dedications as well, because this event didn't just happen because of the people on stage. It happened because of everybody supporting us and behind us. And one of those people for me is Cathy Brooks.
Tani Mayo.
The late Tanya and John Carroll.
My mom, the late Yelena Palavina Gavrunskaya.
Pauline Richardson.
Aggie Miller.
Rebecca Carroll.
Sorry, we were supposed to be in a loop, but emotions, am I right? Say yup. The late Andy Kinsey.
The Wang family.
The late Nex Benedict.
The late Dale Wardlow.
Nutak Simmons.
The late Ashton Ishnook and the late James Ishnook Sr.
The St. Lawrence Island people.
The late Jacques Philippe.
The Festival of Native Arts vendors.
Roy and Avis Sam.
And I'd like to dedicate to my parents, Matthew Iraluk Frenzel and Cecilia Imin Frenzel.
I'd like to talk about Sarah King, one of my teachers from my communities.
And my late nephew, Link.
I also want to dedicate it to my Aunt Bernetta.
My late dad, Gus Bartman Sr.
Emotions, am I right? That baby's like, yeah. So like I said, this is a fraction of the volunteers who put on the 50th Festival of Native Arts, right? The 50th Festival of Native Arts. And with this just being a fraction of the volunteers putting on the event, we know that this is just a fraction of those that we are dedicating our work to, those that we have in our minds and our hearts. And one thing that has been a constant from the students this school year is so much of them have come to me and explicitly said, without knowing what the others said, if you read in the booklets, what does the theme mean to you? What does gathering mean to you? What does festival mean to you? So many of them came to me and they said, when I finally stopped thinking about it and I wrote from my heart, when I spoke from my heart, that's when the words came out. And so much of our work, we don't have to think about it. It just comes from our hearts. And that's just another reason why Cathy Brooks has been awesome. She did all the thinking for us all these years, all the paperwork that we have to think. What is this number? What is that time? And she let us, as students, as Native students, focus on the true meaning of gathering and the true meaning of Festival of Native Arts and the true reason why we do the work that we do and why you all get to enjoy this event. So please, 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 please give the biggest round of applause you can for the 50th Festival of Native